In the last couple of days, I've gotten tons of hate mail from black Trump voters. Now, right off the bat, if you're black and you voted for Trump or you're still supporting Trump, you are delusional. If you think Trump, I've known Trump for 30 years. If you think he's pro-black people, you're completely delusional. I've been to Mar-a-Lago, I don't know how many times, and I've never seen a black person there. And Mar-a-Lago is a huge place. There's 1,000 people there when I used to go there for a fundraiser or an event. Never seen a black person. I've never seen a single black person there. Okay? Trump is not a fan of black people, but you probably didn't see this. If you're still supporting him, you probably didn't see how he snuck this in a couple of days ago. So a couple of days ago, if you're not familiar, Trump pulled back the law that kept federal workers in federal buildings from segregating bathrooms, drinking fountains, work areas from blacks and whites or any other race. Okay, it was always black and white, but that's what the law says. He pulled it. Okay, now we're going back to the days of the early 60s, late 50s, 1950s and before, where there were black water fountains, colored water fountains is what they called them for coloreds, and white water fountains, and restaurants. And now in federal buildings, they can discriminate against you. Okay, let me tell you, if you didn't know that, let me tell you what's next. It's coming. Watch. The Civil Rights Act of 1964. Now, if you don't know your history, that's what Martin Luther King died for, basically. Okay, that's what John Lewis used to march in the streets for. Jesse Jackson, all these guys fought for this to give so people could not discriminate. The government couldn't discriminate, citizens couldn't discriminate, companies couldn't discriminate against people of color. Okay, if he pulls that, we're headed back to 1950. And if you're black, you ain't gonna like it. Let me tell you. Okay, I don't know how many of these people that are sending me hate mail that are black are educated people, but if you know your history, I don't see how you're supporting Trump. Wake up before it's too late. It's gonna take generations to pull this back together if we ever do. And you don't want to live in a country when you're a black person that's circa 1940, 1950. It was not a pleasant experience. Okay. That's why the civil rights people marched and did all the things they did, because they had real guts. They weren't sitting back. Another thing I'm getting from black people is, oh, well, you can march now. We did it in civil rights. It's your turn. Are you kidding me? If you're not a wealthy white male, he's coming after you. He's coming after your rights. Women, Hispanics, military people as well. They're a minority as well. He has total disdain for the military. I don't know how many times he has to tell you guys how he thinks you're suckers and losers. He said it 1,000,000 times. Okay? He has no respect for military people. He doesn't understand, and I've had this conversation with him personally over the years. He doesn't understand why people go into the military, risk their lives, basically for politicians that don't know what the hell they're doing half the time anyway. All these kids died in Vietnam, when I was growing up, and we didn't even have a good reason to be there. Okay? So there's a lot, and that's how Trump feels. He thinks you're suckers. You don't make any money. Okay? So if you don't make any money, he doesn't respect you anyway, which is obviously ridiculous. I mean, military people are patriots, obviously. But he doesn't believe that. He's not on your side. Guys, wake up before he pulls every right you have. Again, I fit into I'm a white, wealthy male. Okay? He's not coming after me. Although he'll probably come after me for doing posts like this. Eventually he'll shut me down. He'll shut every voice down. Free speech itself will be shut down. It won't take long unless we can get rid of this guy as fast as we possibly can and overturn this administration. And the only way we're going to do it is if people stand up. Here's my message to people. If you're one of the people that's sending me hate mail, stop sending it. I don't care. You're delusional. If you think he's on your side, you want to be delusional, you want to go back to separate drinking fountains and all the major discrimination that you never even saw before because you're too young, that's up to you. It's pretty stupid. But I'm not going to suffer for it. You're going to suffer for it. Every black person is going to suffer for it. For that matter, every minority is going to suffer for it. Wake up, people. It's time to fight back.
Please don't scroll past this video. I'm going to ask you to stick around here. This is a very important one. I do a lot of content on this here platform. Some of it is serious, some of it is irreverent, some of it is just me organizing my thoughts. This is one that I have been holding off on making because I wanted to get my thoughts completely organized before I presented this to you. To that end, I'm going to ask that if you stay, by the time you're done, I'd like to see a like. I'd like to see a comment because I do want to hear what you think. And I would like that you would share this because it is important. So here we go. I am not one for conspiracy theories, but this, I think we are all feeling. There is a glitch in the matrix, so to speak, like a splinter in your mind. You know something is wrong, but you can't quite figure out what. Something seems off, but it's like a smoke cloud, and you can see it, and it's real, but you can't quite explain it, and you can't get your arms around it, or it just disappears. And I'm here to tell you, for the last couple months, I have been trying to coalesce this in a way that I can understand it, so that I can relay it to you. Because part of me wants to make sure that I'm not going crazy, and the other part of me wants to make sure that you understand I'm not going crazy. Pay attention, because this is a paradigm shift that's going to have to happen in your mind, or we're screwed. We are sunk, and I mean this sincerely. A lot of us have been operating on the idea that Donald Trump is throwing up smoke screens every so often to cover for other things that are going on in the government. We've been operating under the notion that all of these policies that he's doing that are super nefarious, the really bad ones, when we start looking at them too much, if we start to notice what's really going on, that's when one of these crazy stories comes out. He wants to rename the Gulf of Mexico. He wants to sell Teslas on the White House lawn. He wants to reopen Alcatraz. I'm guilty. I hear that craziness. I can't help but make a video about it, have some fun with it. I understand it, but it is a distraction. The mistake that I've been making, the splinter in my head that's telling me that it's wrong, is that I have been thinking that he's throwing out these stories every so often as a distraction right about the time we start to get a little bit of our arms around the smoke that is the real story that's going on. And then he throws one of these distraction stories out. It's too big to not want to go and grab the hook. And then we get distracted with it, and that other thing kind of loses steam as a story. And it just slides through. But the stories that he is spearheading, the really crazy ones, they're not the distraction. He's the distraction. This is a paradigm shift. I need you to get your head around this. The president is the distraction. He's a figurehead. He's a puppet. If you have a hard time getting your head around the fact that 9 out of 10 stories that come out of this White House seem crazy inside baseball, they seem like crazy inside baseball. They're very political, insidery type things that are going on. And then story number 10 is, let's rename the Gulf. The first 9 are not him. When he says, I don't know about that, and they say, how can you not know about that? It's your administration. This is your stuff. And he says, I'll have to get back to you. He's not lying. He doesn't know about them because he's not the architect. We have been saying for a long time, he is not smart enough for all this stuff. But that 10th story, that's the stuff that crazy old man came up with on his own. And they heard him talking about that, and they were like, that'll be a good distraction. That's Trump 101 right there. They'll totally eat that up. So they save those. Story number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We start to notice some stuff. People start asking hard questions. 7, 8. Now we're on the hunt. Now we're doing some exposés, but these stories, because they're so political, insidery type stuff, it's like an onion that you got to peel back a bunch of boring layers on to try and get to the crux of the matter. Why is it a problem that they are messing with IDEA funding? Why is this meme coin of his a big deal that somebody's buying some of his meme coin? Why is it a big deal that his kids open up a members only club in DC? Why is it a big deal that Pam Bondi's brother wants to run for some kind of a lawyer, group head? About the time we start asking the questions about those, you're on the trail for the really nefarious crap that they are architecting behind the scenes while they mollify him with golf trips. And at the end of that, when it's getting too much and we're getting too close, I'm going to reopen Alcatraz. The crazy comes back. Do you really think that the I'm going to open Alcatraz guy is the same one who figured out that if they mess with IDEA funding, that they're going to be able to strip mine education entirely and start to defund minority groups? They're not. They're not the same. This is a shadow government, and I am not a conspiracy theory person. These people know they cannot run this without him. He's the one who got elected. But they can get stuff done because he doesn't give a shit what they do. He only cares that his wallet is taken care of. He only cares that people still love him, that his followers still worship him. And as long as he keeps putting out crazy ass stories like, I'm going to hold a Tesla car sale on the front lawn, and they're all on board, he gets what he wants. Power, influence, adoration, and golf. We need to start identifying the people who are actually pulling the strings. And it's not Russia. It's inside the house people. It is groups like the Heritage Foundation. It's anybody that's involved with Project 2025. It's people like Steve Bannon and Elon Musk who are actually pulling the strings behind the scenes. These are the people who are the architects of the destruction of this government. They are tearing it apart brick by brick behind the scenes. And when you catch them stealing bricks, they send him out with one to throw at your head. So you stop looking at them and they can continue. Trump is not our problem. Our problem is the people behind him. And if we don't start exposing those people, we will lose this democracy. We will lose this country. And they will put in whatever figurehead they want to be able to run it in his place. He is fungible because he's the distraction. Once he's outlived his usefulness, they'll find a new distraction. Leave a like. I need your comments. I do need your comments. I need you to share this. People need to know what's going on. We have got to get on the right page. We need to fight the correct enemy. And we can't do that if we're still living in the Matrix. I hope this doesn't fall on deaf ears. And if there's enough response, I'll make another series of videos. We will go into this in depth and we'll start exposing it. So you don't think I'm just whistling through the graveyard.
So Donald Trump took to Truth Social and he is pissed. Oh my gosh. Who allowed Canada to control this electricity in the United States? Oh my gosh, who could have done it? Let's look at this. Why would our country allow another country to supply us with electricity, even for a small area? Oh my gosh, Wait a second. Can you imagine Canada stooping so low as to use this? And he ends this with, who did this? Who could possibly have done such a horrendous thing? Who do you think it was? Who did it? Who signed the deal? I'll give you 3 guesses, and the first 2 don't count. It was Trump himself. Trump himself. Take a look. In 2020, it was him. And he was bragging about it at that time, how wonderful it was going to be. And he doesn't even remember that it was him. And now he's railing about the deal that he made.
Told you that they were voting for him because of the economy, they were lying. I think people voted for him because this country, too many people in this country couldn't even think about voting for a black female. So when they, but they don't want to say, they're not going to say, I'm not voting for her because she's a woman or she's black. God forbid she's both. Oh, and by the way, she's married to a Jewish guy. They're not going to say that. They're going to say, I'm voting for him because of the economy. They're liars.
Hold on.
I know you told me you voted for President Trump. What were you hoping that he would do?
I was hoping he would did something that made sense regarding the economy, made some kind of progress in bettering, the benefits of being a veteran. But I mean, it just seemed like he actually cared about doing what was best for the country, but now it just feels like all about me, Donald Trump, not, the guy out there working in the trenches trying to make ends meet, trying to pay a mortgage, trying to pay the bills. It goes against everything I expected when, I voted for him.
So you're not satisfied with what you said?
No. And it doesn't even have to do with anything about me getting fired. I mean, if I had gotten fired as part of the, government, cutting government spending, I would have been fine with that. I can accept that. But he's not delivering on anything he said he was going to do. So what's your real game plan? It doesn't make sense to me.
There are some things that he promised to do that he has put in place. I mean, there are executive orders that he's done, that he said that he was going to do. You don't feel like he's lived up to those promises?
I mean, where are the results? I mean, seriously, prices are still going up. We're now in the middle of a tariff war with a bunch of countries that used to be our steadfast allies. I mean, how do you make an enemy of Canada? They're right next to us, and they've been one of our premier allies and commerce partners for, seriously, centuries now?
And he did say that he was going to put tariffs in place. Did you just not think that they would be implemented in this particular way?
I didn't think they were going to be put in play in a juvenile way. I mean, where was the attempt to actually talk to the heads of these other countries like, hey, I feel you have unfair tariffs against our products. I'd like to talk about it first. And if we can't work out some kind of resolution, then I feel to protect our people, we need to implement this kind of tariff. There was no attempt at even talking to the other countries.
It's time to talk about that oath. The one that the Supreme Court justices, federal judges, civil servants, all members of the military, of Congress, the vice president, the oath that they all take. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That same oath goes on to say, without mental reservation or for the purpose of evasion. They bothered to put in the oath. We know you might try to lie and just take the oath and not mean it. And that will be a violation of this oath, and that is a legal violation, calling for impeachment, conviction, and confinement. It is no joke, that oath. And it is an oath to the Constitution, not to America, to the nation, to the geographical borders of the idea of our country, not to the office of the presidency, and certainly not to a person. It is an oath to the Codex of Laws which separates America from a history of grime and muck that is the corruption of greedy men. And while America has certainly fallen from that ideal many times and exhibited hypocrisy many times, we have continued to strive for that ideal by maintaining the fabric of that oath to the Constitution. Now, why did they add the clause after the Civil War, all enemies foreign and domestic? Because there were already laws on the books that said, well, you can't take guns and people and take over the Capitol. You can't kill people. You can't overrun a public building. What's the point of adding this? It's already illegal for any average citizen to overthrow the government. They added it because they understood elected officials could use their power to undermine and subvert the Constitution, the thing which they swore an oath to. Donald Trump cut the funding to USAID and many other federal agencies in violation and underminement of the Constitution, which dictates that spending to be under the power of Congress. Donald Trump has said to ignore judicial orders or remove judges he doesn't like in clear violation of the Constitution. The executive branch is meant to enforce the law. Donald Trump's administration says that they will not enforce the law about official record keeping. They will not enforce the law about the dissemination of classified material. He is subverting and undermining the Constitution in regards to the executive branch, the judicial branch, and the congressional branch. Donald Trump is undermining and subverting the United States Constitution. He is doing it openly. He is flaunting it. He is not denying it. That is not the question. The question is, will those tens and hundreds of thousands of people who have taken that oath fulfill it? Will they come together to say we must honor our oath and the Constitution by removing Donald Trump from office as the Constitution dictates through impeachment? That is the task. That is the law.